Students at the TVET School of Sustainable Agriculture and Culinary Arts presented Prime Minister Honorable Philip J. Pierre with fresh produce and agro-processed products grown and prepared by the students themselves. The gesture reflected Prime Minister Pierre's Eat What You Grow and Grow What You Eat philosophy, while highlighting the growing impact of TVET education in St. Lucia. TVET coordinator at the school, Ms. Bispak, says the program is becoming increasingly relevant as countries around the world continue to face growing food security concerns linked to global instability and climate pressures.
Fast-growing world that we're in, a lot of focus has to really be on these hard skills that people can actually go in and do practical things. And so, at one of the schools where we're at, we are really trying to get people to, our students in fact, to really buy into agriculture, because without agriculture we can't eat. And then agriculture now leads to the other area that we do, which is culinary arts. And we're trying to fuse both of them and utilize what we have on the farm so that we can feed the nation, because who knows, especially with what's happening in the world these days, we really have to, as we say, grow what we eat and eat what we grow.
The presentation included an assortment of vegetables and agro-processed items developed through practical classroom and field training. The initiative also highlighted the growing role of TVET education in equipping students with practical and industry-ready skills for the future.
This was given to the Prime Minister to show appreciation for his generous contributions to our agro-processing expo that we had at Blue Coral Mall. His instrumental act was very beneficial to us to showcase our skills that we are currently developing and our potential of the industry.
Prime Minister Pierre praised the students, teachers, and the Ministry of Education for continuing to strengthen the national TVET program and encourage greater local production.
And to thank the people who have taken on the ideological shift into vocational education. We hope that it will grow from strength to strength. I want to thank the teachers again and the principal and the Ministry of Education for moving forward as we continue our vision of growing what you eat and eating what you grow.
Students also expressed appreciation to Prime Minister Pierre and the government for continuing to expand opportunities through TVET education. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen of the press. Good morning. We are happy to welcome you once more for this Monday's pre-cabinet press briefing. I am Melissa Paul, Press Secretary to the Prime Minister. Today, we have our first presenter, Honorable Kenton Kazime, who is the Minister for Education, Youth Development, Sports and Digital Transformation. The Minister has a few updates in the areas of sports, education, and his constituency. Honorable.
Good morning. How's everybody? Just a few updates from the Ministry of Education standpoint. Thursday, 11th June last week, I was invited along with other members from the education fraternity to engage in the commencement graduation Monroe University up in New York Radio Music Hall. 30 St. Lucians graduated in this year's cohort. Very proud of that number, one of the highest numbers in the region. Of course, you would have to compare that with Jamaica and Trinidad, but certainly 30 persons from St. Lucia who were awarded with degrees and masters at that ceremony. Monroe is now a university, and in our meetings in New York, we had conversation about PhD programs being offered to St. Lucians, and so the discussion certainly continues in that regard for our individuals who have gone on to have their bite at a first-generation scholarship and then on to a master's degree program. We are moving steadfast in ensuring that we can offer PhD programs at Monroe University sometime in the near future. Of course, Monroe was gracious enough to give me and the other members of that team a complete tour of their facilities in New Rochelle. And true to my Ministry of Sport, we started the discussion on the establishment of a sports science program in St. Lucia, along with the establishment of a sports science room for our athletes. And if you study sports, you would know that it has evolved into being extremely scientific, data-driven on performance, on training. And so I look forward to that continued discussion. We've already had the commitment from the individuals from Monroe that we will be ensuring that this is done here. We continue to have conversation on the establishment of the Laverne Spencer Center for Excellence in Sports in St. Lucia, and so we can see that being featured as we move forward. Also in sport, I'm still in education. I want to announce again, because I do not want for young St. Lucians to miss out on the opportunities that this government, in collaboration with our various entities, are providing to them. We have opportunities by way of scholarship, and I always encourage individuals to visit the website, the Government of St. Lucia website, and go on to our education and scholarship section to register. So just by way of announcement, again, the UE Economic Cost, the deadline for that program, for that scholarship, is July 31st. And so we're encouraging individuals to continue to either go to the ministry or visit the website to apply for that program, that degree program. The bursary program for individuals who are interested in attending Sir Lewis, whether it is at the Castries campus or the Southern campus, that bursary program, that scholarship is available, and the deadline for application is July 31st. The Monroe First Generation Scholarship, that is also available. Individuals who are interested in completing a degree program at Monroe University, that scholarship is available currently, and the deadline for that is July 16th. So take note, July 16th, the deadline for the application for Monroe First Generation Scholarship. And of course, the Associate's degree in Sports Management. That scholarship is available online right now. The application for that scholarship is available online. The deadline for that program is July 16th. And so a lot of opportunities for our young people, individuals in the sports fraternity, to really get an opportunity at education. In regards to sports, a number of activities over the weekend. The Black Hat competition, the highly regarded Black Hat competition, continued last weekend in Soufrière. We saw the semi-final between Soufrière and the Vieux-Fort South. Of course, Vieux-Fort South, the only team to have won back-to-back Black Hat competitions on 4 occasions. So they have shown that they truly know how to play knockout football, and they are into the final of Black Hat once again. So Vieux-Fort South getting past Soufrière 2-1 at Soufrière. So a very, very good game played there. Grosley, they came up against the pretty much Black Hat defending champions Leclerc. Leclerc has shown that they know how to win tournaments, they know how to organize their team, whether they have a better team or not. They are very compact, they are very well organized in their ambitions, and they have gone on to win that semi-final encounter against Grosley in front of a packed crowd in Grosley, showing the mettle. They came back in the 95th minute to equalize in a game against Grosley and went on to win on penalties. That game ending 1-1 in regulation time, and Leclerc going on to win that semi-final. So The finals, Black Hat set. On a neutral ground, Soufrière Mini Stadium, we will see the third place playoff between home team Soufrière. They'll be playing against Grosily. That game is scheduled to start at 7 p.m. on Saturday night in Soufrière. And then the big one, the clash of the Titans. Vieux-Fort South, perennial winners of Black Hat, they will be playing against defending champions Leclerc in that grand final from 9 o'clock. Of course, you can expect lots of festivities, lots of performances. We had Gabi Gabi perform at both events, both semifinals in Soufrière and then in Grosily. And so you can expect further announcements on who will be performing at those events. So that's it pretty much for announcements in terms of sport. And obviously an update on the Grosily constituency. We just completed some remedial works in Corinth, very, very much needed remedial works on the road in Corinth. That road has been in disrepair for a very long time. We were able to complete the works on the road. I want to let the commuters in that Corinth area let them know that we will be commencing some works on the drain. We'll be clearing out the drains in that area, and then some concrete works on that drain on that road to preserve some of what we have done. In the community of Ridgely Monjuro, we put out a announcement this morning that road is complete. That is behind Volney gas station, entering into Monjuro, and you can see all that information on my Facebook page and also Instagram as well. So we continue to do work in the community. We continue to try our best. We know we have so many roads that need attention in Grosily. We'll just continue to do our best for the people of Grosily and indeed St. Lucia. Questions?
Good morning, Minister Karim, Nelson, St. Lucia Times. Just to pick your brain on something, just considering your portfolio's education and digital transformation, where do you stand on the possibility of information technology becoming a compulsory subject, at least locally? I know as it stands now, it's up to the given secondary schools. They have the autonomy to make those kind of decisions. But I mean,
that's very progressive.
Yeah,
that's a very progressive question. That is very, very intriguing. We cannot continue to be sustained as a human society, as a developing society without adequate knowledge of information technology. And I want to broaden that in the sense of ensuring that there's proper use of the internet in terms of social media for our young children, in terms of being computer literate. I will say as a government that the St. Lucia Labour Party has been the government of ensuring information technology is brought as much as possible to young people. I mean, the laptop program is a clear indication that we understand the need for constant usage of the internet and information at all levels. As to whether or not we make it mandatory, that is a good sort of conversation for us to have with CAMDU, Curriculum Development, the Chief Education Officer, and of course the other stakeholders, the teachers, principals. I like to be very inclusive in decision making, but for sure I do not see the harm. I only see benefits of that being compulsory, simply because later on in life for these young people, there is not many job offerings that would not require some level of information technology and usage of proper social media to market or to provide that additional edge for people. So I think that's very progressive. I think that's something we can look at, and I will definitely ensure that we have that conversation, a very good one to have.
Chelsea, Austin A, MBC, where are we in regards to the truancy units? What's happening?
Wow, interesting. Truancy is something that we intend to roll out in a very strategic manner. Truancy is not just a unit, it's a program. It will involve all aspects of our ecosystem to function for it to be done properly. We have to ensure that Social transformation equity is involved in a huge way. Other stakeholders such as the police is involved in a huge way. Teachers, principals, and of course the entire Ministry of Education functioning as that service sector to ensure that truancy is dealt with in a very strategic way. We have been putting all the information together. We do have a team that has done a lot of the information gathering, the assessments on ground, and of course the Prime Minister made the announcement that we were going to identify 4 new truancy officers. So far we've made the push to identify 2. And certainly in the not too distant future, we'll have a full rollout of the program. I think truancy is all of our business. It's something that, as I said, cannot function in a vacuum. We need parents on board. We need society. When I went to Leones Comprehensive Secondary School, if I was walking up that hill at 10 o'clock or walking down that hill at 10 o'clock to leave school, Mr. Ellis would have gotten a call saying that an individual is leaving Hess at 10 o'clock. That seemed to have died out. So we need communal buy-in. We need to have all of society buy into that program. And very soon we're going to be rolling it out. And I think society is going to see that we have a dynamic way of bringing it in terms of the messaging to those young individuals, using some of our Denry segment artists to bring in the musical aspect of speaking against young people being away from school. So I'm very excited about the rollout for that program.
My next question, it has to be regarding the parents. I spoke with the Ministry of Health sometime last week. They were talking about vaping, and one of the biggest concerns they had was that their access to parents is very limited. When can we see something like a National Parenting Association, or would you be behind pushing that, because it's a big part of how we're going to help solve a lot of the problems we have with our young people? We need our parents involved actively and on a national level. Can we see a big push from that from you?
If you look at the education sector and structure, the biggest stakeholder would always be the students, and of course you would have the teachers, and of course the principals. Parents, every single child at school have a parent, so they are huge stakeholders. I will not be the one to go and start the formation necessarily of a parenting association, but I do see significant benefits to having an association like that set up. We are in a society where everything seems to be top down. So Kenzie Gansby is Minister of Education, so he needs to go and set up a parental association. But if an individual sees the need to come together as parents and stakeholders in this mission to provide quality education to young people, if they decide that they are going to do that, then I would be duty bound, and I would absolutely love to work with them every step of the way.
Okay, at the same time,
we're having a lot of discussion in the media room this morning. I'm not sure you all had a very good weekend, it seems. There's this collaboration from side to side. Sorry, sir. Go ahead. Yeah.
At the same time, I suppose your ministry is pushing information technology, part of your portfolio. There are countries thinking and actively pursuing restricting forms of information technology, and more particularly AI, restricting individuals under the age of 15 or under the age of 16. What is the government's position, of course, in the Ministry of Education?
It's ongoing in terms of the discussion. I feel like I've answered this question a million times, but I'm going to answer it again. I am one of those who believe that we all, as parents, as individuals, need to take responsibility for what our children consume as much as possible. But in addition to that, we do need to have the laws and regulations that guide what should be restricted. I think there's a balance that is required. Information technology is very critical to the maturation of individuals and the marketability of young people. I mean, I use TikTok, I use Instagram, I use Facebook, all with the different reach to see how it is that it can, augment some of the efforts I'm making. And I think in the use of information technology, and if we are going to gravitate towards making it mandatory, a huge part of that is the responsible use of that technology. As to whether or not this government is minded right now to say you cannot use social media until you get to the age of 16, we've not gotten to that point. We continue to appeal to each parent to govern their child. You govern and you say, hey, Until you get to 18, some would say until you get to 20, you are not allowed to use your device and have any social media. Certainly, that has been my position when it comes to my children. We have that age that we've agreed. Until I realize that you're mature enough to engage in social media usage, you are not allowed to. And so you do need the actual policing of that. And again, we don't necessarily need the outside police to do that. I think we, as parents, need to take responsibility and police what is going on. At some point, at any random point, grab the phone, grab the device, and see what's going on to ensure that discipline is always adhered to in the household.
Okay, so I have a quick handful of questions. I wanted to ask, there was an 18 plus event, I think sometime this month, where...
An 18 plus?
Yes, an 18 plus event, sometime this month, I believe, which featured attendees wearing the uniform of what I would presume to be their past school. Of course, we would have seen these images also going out online. So I wanted to know, especially it being an 18 plus event and that not being behavior that would be condoned in the case of a student, a current student, I mean. Is there any concern on the ministry's end to take more ownership of the image, the logo, the uniform of the government schools of St. Lucia?
Not aware of, to be very honest, that activity being held. I'm not sure if that was during the time of my Monroe visitation for the graduation. I will say that, of course, with oh boy, this media this morning is special. Special. I will say that for me, as an individual and as a Minister of Education, just as in the police sector, individuals are not allowed to wear camouflage and some of their uniforms simply because you want to be able to identify who is who. I think the same should obtain for schools as much as possible, unless it's a ministry sanctioned activity. In times past, you've had, just as you have Sneaker Day coming up very soon, I hope everybody will be wearing a sneaker and walking upstairs and walking everywhere very soon. I think it's June 22nd, don't quote me on that date, but I'm looking forward to it. The ministry may decide to have a particular day, like they have in times past, for everybody to wear their past uniform. I believe if we are going to do that, there should be an appeal for the alumni associations for each schools to be formed to have an activity that is responsibly undertaken. But until such time, I believe wearing school uniform is something that government has to ensure is done and managed properly, similar to the police. And whether or not we say after the age of 18 or once you've left secondary school, you're not allowed to just wear uniform in any sector, whether or not we go in that direction is a conversation that we can have.
Okay, thank you. So I'm not sure if you spoke to this before I had arrived in the room, but
Yes.
we had FIFA World Cup over the weekend and saw a couple of Caribbean
That's after my
nations
team lose
competing.
there.
So can you speak to the performance of the Caribbean teams?
Yeah,
and
so Curacao, and you hear Curacao and Curacao, different pronunciations. This is a team St. Lucia beat in World Cup qualifying. The St. Lucia beat Curacao in the first round, and Curacao came back and defeated St. Lucia 4-0. St. Lucia was very close, actually. A lot of people don't know that, to actually qualifying for this World Cup. We were pretty much 3 games. We needed to have won 3 back-to-back games to get there. Curacao did a lot of work in bringing their generations, second and third generation footballers from the Dutch Antilles, which is a team I love, Go Orange, and recruiting them. So by the time they came back to play in St. Lucia, they pretty much had a professional setup that St. Lucia was just not ready for, and they defeated St. Lucia en route to getting into the World Cup. I was personally impressed. You could see for a country of 100,000 people, which is 80,000 less than what we have here in St. Lucia, that they really held themselves well. The scoreline would tell you 7-1 is not a good result, but their style of play, you can see there are concerted efforts to follow a structure, follow something that is guiding them along the way. And you could see just the scoring that one goal was satisfaction for an entire nation. And I can tell you, I was jealous. As a Minister of Sport, I was extremely jealous, and I pretty much got up the following morning thinking that we definitely need to do more by way of legislation to be able to attract more of our second and third generation footballers who are in England, who are in different parts of Europe, and of course South America and North America. And I say legislation because we were the government to actually pass legislation to allow third generation footballers to actually play for our national team. But we now have to go a step further, simply because in St. Lucia, if you look at the third generation's record keeping, we didn't have a birth certificate, we had a baptismal certificate, and I don't know if any of you experienced this, the new generation may not know about this, but the priest was the one signing documents, and so now getting the verification of our third generation parents has been an additional challenge for us in identifying those footballers that we want to play for St. Lucia. So we have to dig a little deeper in the legislation to see how it is that we can provide accurate information on who our third generation footballers are. You know, Miles Lewis Kelly, everybody knows he's St. Lucian, he's from St. Lucian parentage. So can you imagine another 9 or 10 players on his level playing for St. Lucia? We probably would have beaten Curacao, and it would have been St. Lucia playing in that tournament. So it is something that I'm going to be taking up this morning in Cabinet, because like I said, I was extremely jealous. And I believe that with all what we are pumping in terms of a semi-pro football league, in terms of our programs, and of course tomorrow we'll be making a huge announcement as it pertains to football development in St. Lucia, so stay tuned. We really believe that we just need to tweak a few things to ensure that we can really have our best players on the field.
Okay, so one quick follow-up on my last question. We tend to forget that Haiti is also a Caribbean nation that played over the weekend, so I would love to hear your perspective.
I did not see that match. There's just a lot of work to do when you're Minister of Education and you have a big constituency, but I did not see that match. I think they lost 1-0. I think it was 1-0. 2-0? They all think that because I'm just want myself to buy. I don't know. I will not see everything. I did not see that game. I'm not sure if it was played during the time I would have been at one of our facilities. But again, Haiti is a team that has, over the years, they've done pretty well in football. They've done pretty well in the CONCACAF region in football. So I wouldn't be surprised that they would hold 1-0. You see, so I was correct the first time. I mean, Scotland being a big European team, you would expect that they would have been the favourites in that matchup. But I will say one thing, that we, at St. Lucia, we always stand with Haiti, our fellow CARICOM member, and we certainly wish them all the best. I did not see enough of that game. I just know the scoreline for me to make any analysis. Oh, and they're playing against Brazil. Not like everybody afraid of Brazil these days, but I know St. Lucia have a lot of fans that will come for me, but come, Holland winning this year.
Okay, and lastly, so coming out of the national junior soca and calypso competitions, we had a few concerns coming from the students.
Now, thank you. Congratulations to Corinth Secondary School for winning the Soca Monarch competition. I was very impressed with this young lady coming out of the constituency of Grosley. I want to say first and foremost that we encourage young people to, gravitate towards their talents, their skills, and their capabilities. And I will be going over to the Corinth Secondary School to make a very special a sort of donation, a token of appreciation for how well she did at that competition, and to encourage her to continue to, work on her talent.
Yes, so
Sorry.
is the ministry in a position to receive and actually action some of the concerns that came from the competition from the students?
Okay, what were the concerns from that competition?
There was one student, I did not listen to it myself, but there was one student who sang that he would not like to write CPEA. There was another who asked for more youth inclusion in policy and lawmaking. So, yes.
Okay, let's pump the brakes here. We must allow some level of creativity, especially with young people. We must allow them to express themselves. I would be the worst person to ask about Dennery segment, because I don't want to interfere with Dennery segment with any shape or imagination. Not just because I like my little Vaval, but simply because you have to let young people be creative. Yes, you can provide different programs to, harness some of their creativity towards making it more marketable and consumable to elder people in the wider world. You want to do that. But I err on a caution when individuals look at different little lyrics and make so much about it. Sometimes a writer is just trying to rhyme nicely. Sometimes an individual is just trying to be facetious. Sometimes people are just trying to just have some form of a conversation started on different things. So I wouldn't gravitate towards that as minister and say, hey, you'll have to watch your lyrics when we have Soca Monarch and when we have Calypso. We need to have that level of freedom of expression, and if there's any investigation into whether or not this individual genuinely believes that this thing should happen, we can probably deal with that on a micro level to make sure that we are creating these individuals that are productive citizens in St. Lucia. But as for whether or not I'll be concerned about that, I wouldn't at this moment, to be quite frank. Thank you very much. Have a good day.
He's a little slower, but he will look a little different, but they can still play, laugh, learn, and be great friends just like you, right? You can remember, he says you can do karate, and all you can do karate, so you can do something I can't do. So your son, he can do karate like us. So he can do something I can't do. So you see why he's a Superman? Alright, he goes. He continues. On the other hand, autism is about how a child's brain works. Some children's brains are like puzzles. They see and understand the world in their own unique way. Yet there are a lot of people who have autism, but they are geniuses. That means their brain is much faster than mine or yours or anybody else. So even if somebody has autism, that doesn't mean they're lesser than you or they can act different. But he says that they are just different because, as he says, children's brains are like puzzles. They see and understand the world in their own unique way. My brain is different, so I am different. Now you know what he's saying? He's admitting that sometimes you make him feel sad because people try to really do it. Now, that is, I want to tell him that he must not feel sad. I'm the Prime Minister, people try to ridicule me too. So much does him. You understand? So I can say to him that he must never feel sad with what people say about you. He's thanking you for supporters and for parties week. Right?
As you know, St. Lucia is preparing to host the 51st meeting of the Conference of the Heads of Government of CARICOM, and Prime Minister Honorable Philip J. Pierre will assume chairmanship of the Conference of the Heads of Government on July 1st, 2026. To deliver remarks on this, I invite Honorable Philip J. Pierre, the Prime Minister of St. Lucia. He is also the Minister for Finance, Constituency Development, People Empowerment, Justice and National Security. Prime Minister.
Good afternoon. As you know, I'll be taking over the chairmanship of CARICOM from the 1st of July. And I'd like to read a statement to launch the meeting in St. Lucia and to launch information on the meeting in St. Lucia. Today marks an important milestone for St. Lucia and an important moment for the Caribbean community as we officially launch the 51st regular meeting of the Conference of Heads of Government of CARICOM, which St. Lucia will host from 5th to July 8th, 2026, with the opening ceremony on Sunday, July 5th at the Sanders Grand Hotel. This meeting carries special significance for our country. St. Lucia will formally assume the chairmanship of CARICOM on July 1st, 2026, when I will succeed the current chairman, Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew of St. Kitts and Nevis. St. Lucia will serve as chair of the community for a 6-month period from July 1st to December 31st, 2026. This orderly rotation of leadership reflects one of the enduring strengths of our community: shared responsibility, continuity, and the collective commitment of member states to advance the regional agenda in service of the Caribbean people. As incoming chair, St. Lucia, recognizing the significance of this moment, we prepared to assume this responsibility at a time when the Caribbean and indeed the wider world is navigating profound and complex change. Our theme for this meeting, CARICOM, From Resilience to Renewal in a Changing World, captures both the reality of our circumstances and the ambition of our response. The Caribbean people have always been resilient. Our history tells a story of endurance, of societies that emerged from slavery and colonialism, overcame economic vulnerability, and built independent nations guided by hope, determination, and unity. But resilience alone is no longer enough. The task before us now is renewal. Renewal of our economies, renewal of our regional cooperation, renewal of our institutions, renewal of opportunity for our people, and renewal of confidence in our collective ability to shape our own future. CARICOM was founded on the belief that our small states could achieve far more together than we could ever accomplish alone. That principle remains as relevant today as it was at the birth of our community. That spirit of cooperation continues to find expression through the work of CARICOM's institutions and agencies, which support member states in areas such as public health, education, disaster preparedness, climate resilience, security cooperation, and sustainable development. Their work demonstrates the practical value of regional integration and the benefits of collective action. During St. Lucia's chairmanship, our focus will be guided by a simple but urgent principle: CARICOM must deliver results that our people can see and feel in their everyday lives. Regional integration must not be something discussed only in conference rooms or reflected solely in communiques. It must translate into meaningful improvements in the lives of Caribbean people. Over the next 6 months, St. Lucia will work with our regional partners to strengthen Caribbean unity, advance climate resilience and climate justice, improve regional security, deepen economic cooperation, expand food and nutrition security, and create greater opportunities for our people. On Monday, July 6th, heads of governments or their representatives will participate in the Heads Retreat, an important opportunity for frank discussion, reflection, and consensus building among regional leaders. This year's program for the conference has been intentionally designed to create a space for leaders or their representatives to engage directly with one another, exchange perspectives on key regional issues, and strengthen collaboration, reflecting both the business of regional governance and the spirit of Caribbean unity. Formal business sessions of the conference will take place on Tuesday, 7th July and Wednesday, 8th July, during which heads of government will deliberate on matters critical to the future of our community and advance decisions aimed at strengthening regional integration and improving the lives of Caribbean people. Before I conclude, I wish to acknowledge the leadership of the current chairman of CARICOM, Prime Minister Dr. Terence Drew of St. Kitts and Nevis, and to express my profound gratitude for his service to the community during his tenure. Hosting the conference is both an honor and a responsibility. It's also an opportunity for St. Lucia to showcase our country, our people, and our unwavering commitment to regional integration. We look forward to welcoming the Caribbean to St. Lucia in July and to working together to move our community from resilience to renewal. I thank you. We take questions and as usual on that and any other topic that you may wish to discuss this afternoon.
Okay, so 2 questions from me. Good morning, sorry. I wanted to know whether there's any possibility of St. Lucia introducing either competition or antitrust laws or regulations. This comes as we once again face the question of the prices of consumer goods raising as a result of international pressures and some people considering the possibility of price gouging occurring in St. Lucia.
We have always tried to approach antitrust laws from a regional perspective because the world trades in blocks. Now, it's very simple to pass legislation, but to make it effective is the question, right? So we're looking at doing that as a region. But if St. Lucia decides to go it alone, in fact, I know from the time I was Minister of Commerce, there was discussion on antitrust and anti-monopoly laws. But it's something we have to tread very carefully, because at the same time, you don't want to create unnecessary issues in terms of supply of goods, in terms of supply of services, etc. So it's something we have to study, but we would prefer to do it as a region. I think for the OECS, we prefer it as the OECS region, antitrust laws for the OECS, because since there's already the OECS single market that is working towards making the region, the OECS at least, one single market and economy, whilst we work for CARICOM being a single market economy. I think having it at the regional level would be better in terms of individually.
Okay. And I want to know with regards to Ireland introducing visa requirements for St. Lucia.
St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nicaragua.
Yes, thank you.
And Trinidad was there already, and there are several others that are there. It's not unique to St. Lucia. We seem to pretend that it's St. Lucia. No, it's many other islands. Yes, sorry.
Yes, thank you for that additional context. I wanted to know, especially as we see...
I have no control over Irish.
I haven't finished my question, you know.
Because I can answer you before you start. I have no control over Irish internal policy. Mm-hmm. The Irish government decides what's in the best interest of Ireland. I have no control over that. And we are living in a space where countries are creating their own domestic legislation for their own domestic reasons. You understand? So I cannot opine on why Ireland did it. I don't know why Ireland did it. Okay. You may want to speculate that you know why Irish did it, but they did it to St. Kitts, they did it to Nicaragua, they did it to Trinidad and Tobago, they did several countries. So it's not something we're happy about, but really, and nothing I can do about it, and I can just hope that at some point, good sense will prevail, etc. But St. Lucia prides the fact that we also have tools and instruments we can use. We have a vote in the United Nations, and we'll use that to the best of our ability, strategically.
So it would happen that there were riots in Ireland, anti-immigration riots in Belfast. Yeah. So I want to know, one, have you received any official communication from Ireland as to any reason? And two, especially given the violently anti-immigration sentiments that have been demonstrated,
okay,
how would you contextualize that?
Let me read to you the official notification from Ireland. The government of St. Lucia received official notification from the Embassy of Ireland in Ottawa, Canada, on Friday, June 12, 2026, informing that with effect from Monday, June 15, 2026, nationals of St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, and Nicaragua will require entry visas for entry into Ireland. This visa introduction applies to holders of ordinary, diplomatic, and service passports. Transit visas will also be required for St. Lucia nationals intending to transit through Ireland. Transitional arrangements will be in place for nationals of St. Lucia, St. Kitts and Nevis, and Nicaragua who have already booked travel to Ireland before June 15, 2026, and will enter and depart from Ireland before July 14, 2026, provided that they are in possession of the requisite travel documents. This includes a valid passport and airline tickets. Nationals who have existing travel arrangements to Ireland are advised to check the Immigration Service Delivery website for further information. Reason: the introduction of this visa requirement on St. Lucian nationals is part of an ongoing process to keep Ireland aligned with the practices in the United Kingdom, Great Britain, and Northern Ireland and the Schengen area. Costs: the standard Irish visa application fees are single entry, $100 Canadian, multiple entry, $165 Canadian, transit visa, $45 Canadian. Applicants will be required to courier the documents to the Embassy of Ireland in Ottawa, Canada for processing. Processing time is estimated at 8 to 10 weeks for all visa categories. That's the official notification we have from the government of Ireland. That's what they have officially. So that might hinder some locals who want to Ireland. Want to go to Ireland? Yeah, I thought that locals, hundreds of locals will go to Ireland holiday, and that would affect them greatly. Yes. You see, miss, that's why we in this world alone. Nobody will assist us. That's why we have to work together. Because no one will care about us. We have to work together. That's why it's very important that CARICOM, that's why the CARICOM meeting is so significant, because we have to face these challenges alone. Alone.
I just had a follow up on the. So are you saying we only got notified? Are you saying that St. Lucia only got notified of this on
July the 12th? The same day I gave
June 12th.
June 12th. Yeah.
And there were no discussions before that?
Absolutely.
Are there any other countries currently in discussion with us about our their immigration policies or discussion?
No, the only country, no country has or is right now is discussing with us visas. What they do is, like the EU has made some blanket statements about visas, about Schengen visas, and the requirements and the laws and the CIP program. They've made a blanket, but no one has come directly and said anything to us.
And just a broader question here. I mean, given all the, going back to late last year, so much talk about immigration, foreign affairs. Don't you think it's maybe worth having the Minister for Foreign Affairs at least on one occasion, or come to, I guess, apprise of these developments, as his ministry will have maybe a little bit of a more intimate connection to some of these things occurring?
I know you'd like to hear the Minister of External Affairs, but I don't think the Minister of External Affairs, this thing is not about personalities. It's about countries. It's about policy. Our friend told us that there are anti-immigration demonstrations in Ireland. We just happen to be the ones paying for internal politics. That's all. You heard what Farage is doing in England, right? Just a strong anti-Le Pen in France. Just a strong anti-immigration policy. So that's why it's so important that our region regionally get together, because just the whole world seems to be getting very insular. You understand? And staying here and blaming me will not help the situation. You know, blame me won't help the situation. Looking for all reasons won't help the situation. The situation is that these countries have decided that they are going to be anti-immigrant. And St. Lucia happens to be a country that will fall in the whole gambit of anti-immigration policy. Ireland, the UK, that's what these countries are doing. What can we do as a nation? What can we do? We can't influence British immigration policy. We can't, I mean, if the government of England believes that being anti-immigrant will help them in their local political exactly, because you know you saw the government lost local government elections, and they acted almost instantly. So it's not. I mean, there are people conveniently would like to blame us for convenient local political reasons, but really, if you look at it honestly and look at it from a less biased point of view, you will see that is straight internal politics that we are paying for internal politics.
Going back to your CARICOM body and you as incoming chair, what would be at that event the main issue that you will be driving? I know you've read through your statement and there are a number of issues that will be discussed, but you as chair, what will be that main issue that you will be driving?
That main issue for me is for heads to get together, dialogue, have robust discussions, and leave there with a plan to benefit the people of the region. A practical plan that the people of the region will benefit for. I don't think it's a meeting it's a meeting where we will have time to have visitors or we'll have time to. I think it's a meeting where we have to sit together because there are issues. I will not lie, I'll tell you there are issues. There are issues on foreign policy. There are issues there are issues which we have to sit as men and women, elected men and women, and sit down and thrash it out. And if you have to say on Monday till 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to make it happen.
6 months is hardly a period where one can ask about legacy as the chairman of the...
For me, Chief, for me, it's not about legacy. For me, it's about how the people benefit. And when the people benefit, your legacy becomes automatic. Once the people benefit, your legacy is automatic because you don't have to proclaim your legacy. The people will say that's what this Prime Minister did. And that's what I live by. I don't live by trying to do things to say for the legacy of Philip J. Pierre. Philip J. Pierre's actions will allow the people to create that legacy for him. Not by doing things basically for a legacy effect. That's not why I'm in politics.
Good afternoon, Prime Minister. Just one question from me. Just to go back on the island visa application. My question is, since now a lot of countries are now building up border control, as you say as well, internal politics is the reason for visas, but we also see many countries are now strengthening their borders moving forward. Could we see something like this moving forward with St. Lucia as well? Having people, when they enter in St. Lucia, also requiring visas for the future moving forward?
For CARICOM people, what exists now, I think will continue and will be strengthened. There's a 6-month stay for CARICOM, for full-fledged members of CARICOM. I think that, you see, these policies have the internal issues, right? But as far as I see, I don't see St. Lucia ever changing its position to welcoming our CARICOM neighbors. Once they arrive legally and follow the established protocols, I see no reason why we should be affected. I see no reason why. St. Lucia continue to welcome our CARICOM neighbors once they arrive legally.
Good afternoon. With the concerns now about visa requirements for Ireland, we're getting questions again about the viability of the CIP regime. But the question I'm really trying to ask you is that from your budget presentation this year, you'd have outlined that St. Lucia's grant funding, our access to grant funding and concessional loans has decreased. I think this year we would have gotten about 81 million as compared to about 95 last year. And similarly, the central bank in one of its budget overviews noted that because of this decrease in funding, our CIP regime has the ability to offset that decrease, right? So it can help in funding the government's agenda. But generally, as a prime minister now who is facing concerns with respect to international financing into grant funding, how is your government now positioned to achieve its development priorities, not just for this fiscal year, but for the years to come?
You see, you're correct. Grant funding has decreased. You're correct. And this is why we speak about renewal and resilience. So what have we done? First of all, we've tried to diversify our economies around tourism, around agriculture, particularly food security. So we're trying to diversify our economies, right? Thirdly, we continue to reimagine and put a new image on the CIP program. But I'll tell you, I can give no guarantee that anything we do would satisfy the people who believe that we should stop our program. I don't think we can do. I really think there's nothing we can do. You must understand, we've taken a regional approach. We've had regional pricing. We've done the strictest due diligence. We continue to do the strictest due diligence possible. Right now, we are into biometrics for our passports. They've spoken about people having links to the country. We are implementing steps to get for our citizens to have links to our country. Everything that we requested to do, we are doing and we will do. St. Lucia wants to have a transparent and an accountable CIP program. But you must understand our history. And this is very important. You must understand our history. We did all we could do for our banana industry. Everything we asked to do, we did. We did everything we do for our financial services industry. Everything we asked to do, we did. Now is the CIP program. But I can assure you, St. Lucia does not want to transgress any laws. We don't want to be a burden to any country. We don't want our citizens to create any issues in any country. That is why our due diligence is so robust, our due diligence is so intense, and we have invited the countries who have issues to come and see what we do. We've opened up our doors. We've opened up our program. Come and see what we do and advise us on what you think is best practice. But I can give you no guarantee. And even though we do that, we will not get the same results. But we're willing to work. I want to make it clear that the government in Lucia is willing to work with any country who wants us to improve on our program, who wants us to make our program even more transparent than it is now. But does that guarantee that the end result in their eyes will not be the same? I can't guarantee that.
Sorry, just two more questions. With the water concerns that you're seeing at Wasco, and again certain port congestions, and you might have hinted at that in your budget presentation, that St. Lucia might be we might be at a point where we need to decentralize the government's overall control of these statutory bodies, so they would become like public corporations, so they would be able to fund their operations without really relying heavily on government. As a general agenda for your term in office, how do you see the government improving the operationability of institutions like Wasco, for instance, like Lucia, like the Port Authority, so that they could, walk on their own 2 feet, and in the same breath saving the government on expenditure?
First of all, the situation in Wasco is twofold. One, right now we are in a drought situation, and it is predicted that the drought will get worse in the coming year. In the coming year, right? You aware that? Not my fault, right? The drought is getting worse. All the water sources are drying up. I mean, so you saw from the water resource management people that they can't even pump water from many of the resources because they are dry. Rain is not falling. So we have one issue. So even so, my water harvesting, my rainwater harvesting will be under a bit of pressure because rain isn't falling. But if you had harvested water at the time when I told you so, we would have still had some. And if you put the things in place to harvest rainwater, the little bit that falls, we would have saved it. So I still put the plea out. And I'm going to say it over and over again. I encourage people, even in this drought season, to try to get their rainwater harvesting in place, even in the drought. Because the little rain that falls, it will not go in the drains. We'll collect it. That's the first thing. So our resources, our natural sources of water are drying up because no rain is falling. And it's predicted, I don't know whether you came to the NEMAC meeting last week, Thursday, the meteorologists, not me, the meteorologists are predicting we're going to have a terrible dry season. Number one. Number two, in terms of Wasco's management, I need you to, and in all the discussions happening about Wasco now, you understand? Conveniently, no one is putting the blame where it ought to be. No one is doing that. What we're doing in Wasco now, turning Wasco into a public-private partnership, started from the year 2008. It started from the year, listen to me carefully, Wasco's issues were there for a long time. Between 2006 and 2011, discussions have been held about Wasco from that time. You agree that? Good. Before 2006, we've taken the steps to make Wasco a semi-private sector body, right? That meant we'd have had arrangements between the private sector and the public sector to make Wasco viable. All the discussions, the documents are still available. All these plans were squashed and a different direction was taken. Squashed. And a different direction was taken. 2011 to 2016. Right? During that time, you know that there was a change of government. Right? Government changed in 2006, government changed again in 2011. Between 2011 and 2016, there was a change of government. 2011, Wasco was again on the table, and then we were on the verge of causing the necessary change that had to be done in Wasco. These plans were squashed. And here we are. The same position we are now is worse now than it was at the time. The dam hasn't been desilted. A few $1 million later, the pipes still have the pipes are still eroded. The pipes still need to be replaced. We still have the water loss, and Wasco structure is the same. We have taken the position that we are going to reimagine Wasco in this period. And right now, as we speak, we are working to have a PPP arrangement for Wasco, where we will encourage investment and change the entire corporate structure at Wasco to make it more modern, to make it more flexible, and allow it the resources that they need to improve the water situation in St. Lucia. And that is the pledge of my government. We're going to take the bold steps, we're going to take the bold measures to make Wasco a more effective utility company. You're going to ask me about the increase in water rates. That's coming next. You'll ask me that question. I'll tell you, increasing water rates alone is not the answer to Wasco's issues. Not the answer to issues. Not the answer to Wasco's issues. It is true that Wasco is definitely distributing water at a low cost of production. This is not economically viable. My government, over the last, as we speak, we subsidize Wasco $1.2 million every month. We've done that for a year. My government, we've paid our bills in advance for Wasco. We've put more money into Wasco than any other government, the support we've given to Wasco, because we understand the need for Wasco to be able to at least give a reliable water supply to the people of St. Lucia. But Wasco's problems will not end with an increase in water rates, right? But it's a fact that Wasco is producing water at a lower cost of production.
So who squashed the plans and who's to be blamed?
I'll allow you to do a little bit of research. You need to go back and you need to go back and look at in fact there are people who can discuss that Jimmy Fletcher was right in the forefront of this discussion. As I always tell the press, you must fact check me, I always made a point, fact check me. There are people you can interview and ask them, where was Wasco at a particular point in time, and what was happening to Wasco at this time, and and who squashed all these plans at the time. The history, that history is clear. But I'm saying to you, Wasco, there was a plan, a holistic plan to improve the situation at Wasco from the corporate level right down. Right now, we reach a stage where we need, conservatively, between $200 and $300 million and there's no guarantee that will be enough to get Wasco to a sustainable point. And a business model had been created to make Wasco a more viable entity. But we have short memories and we seem to forget all these things. But we're going to take the bold step and we're going to start again. We're going to start reimagining Wasco. We're going to start again. It's going to take time. And in the meantime, with what's happening in terms of natural flows of water, because of the drought situation, which people will conveniently forget or pretend that it doesn't exist, it's going to be a little more difficult now. But we're going to work with it because it's our commitment to improve the water supply for the people of St. Lucia. You answer your question? You going to find out? Are you going to find out?
So just the last question from me, and I'll set you free. So
I'm in bondage. You're right. I'm in bondage. Yes.
So in your statement about CARICOM, you would have highlighted food security. And given the present drought situation, and of course concerns about the quality of foodstuffs that we import, food security is a topical question. Would you be able to give us any sort of specifics about what you're trying to get out of CARICOM as far as food security is concerned?
Okay. CARICOM, there was not a theme, but there was an objective in CARICOM to have 25% of our food imported, 25% of our food produced in the region by the year 2030. That has been shifted to 2035. The issue is CARICOM can produce possibly in every country, but in one country that has the capacity to produce food to trade with the other countries of CARICOM. That is the ideal. But that comes with certain constraints, right? Transportation. You have to either air freight it or send by sea across. You have transportation issues. So the issue is we try in every country to at least make every country self-sufficient in at least a few crops. So in St. Lucia, we chose 7 crops, self-sufficient in 7 crops, and you produce it for your local population and export the excess. There was a major plan for the countries with large land resources like Ghana to have our locals go across and plant in certain areas of Ghana and send that food across. But again, these things have call for strong regional integration. And these are the kind of things we're going to be discussing at the Heads Retreat on Monday. These kind of things that benefit the people of the region, so they can stop eating, they can eat right, and all the non-communicable diseases that we have because of poor diets. We can improve them. We can improve on that. This is what CARICOM must do. Go into this these nitty-gritty things, food security, crime and violence. These are the things that we want to concentrate as a nation, as the things I'm going to concentrate on in my chairmanship.
Good afternoon, Mr. Prime Minister.
Good
Just
afternoon.
one question from me. Last year, the government announced that medical professionals employed on internal contracts would receive an honorarium. However, concerns have been raised.
Sorry. Repeat the question, please. Repeat the question.
Right. So last year, during the election period, the government announced that medical professionals would employed on internal contracts, would receive an honorarium. However, concerns have been raised by the SLMDA that eligible doctors are yet to receive the payments.
Yeah.
My question is, can you provide an update on when these payments will be made and what has caused the delay in paying the doctors, and when can they expect to receive the funds?
Okay. First of all, I want to apologize for the lateness in the doctors receiving the honorarium. Now I want to make it clear, it was an honorarium. It was not. It was something that I offered to give them for the good work. There'll be a lot of administrative bottlenecks, but I can assure them they will get. We've said to them, the Ministry of Health and Ministry of Public Affairs and Ministry of the Public Service will ensure that they get that what was promised. When I leave here, I will further remind them that the doctors need what I promised them. So I can assure them they will get their honorarium. We promised them to make them full-time. We did that. Are you aware of that? If they were part-time, we made them full-time. So I kept my part of the promise. The other part is purely administrative. They will get the money. I'm going to go back to the relevant ministries and ask them what is the holdup. I can assure them they will get the money.
Just one last issue for me. I tried to get it through solid waste management. I wasn't able to get through with them. So I'm going to pause the ask the question to you. The landfill Dayglow, a few different projections. Initially, there was a 20-year projection, which would have put it to end around 2023. I think in 2016, there was a revision that stated that probably we had capacity for a few more years. And then I think in another report, the IDB and between the solid waste, they stated something differently. All in all, the projections look as though we might reach capacity somewhere between 2028 and 2031. What are the conversations like as it pertains to that landfill in terms of securing another location and just the general management of that particular area as it stands?
Yeah. As to the details, you have to get it from them. What I know is that we've been speaking about several different methods of dealing with waste. Number one, all the waste cars, all the cars that are sent to the landfill, we're thinking about compacting them. Right? In fact, we're waiting for a quotation to get a machine that I compact and probably export it. That's what we're actively working on. Right? When you do that, we'll get some more space. Right? There are things we're speaking about the plastic bottles, recycling. We're speaking about several different aspects of waste control that are being discussed. As to the physical ability of the space, the experts will have to guide us on that. But what I know is that we must find ways of differently disposing of our waste. If not, we are going to end up in some problems. And why am I that? Please tell the public, do not dump in the rivers. please do not dump in the rivers. There's a very strange phenomenon happening now. People dump anywhere there's open space. They dump concrete. A man fix up his house. He just drive a car and just jump his concrete on the side of the road. I mean, we have to. I tell you something. The law will have to be enforced in that thing, you know. Because, I mean, these things are some of the funniest things that happen. A man decides that he breaks in his house. He breaks his house, just take the dump and drop it on the side of the road, and let the government come pick it up. People cut trees, they clear the house, or just you pass somewhere, you see somebody have almost piece of land, you just dump it there. I mean, where are we heading for? I mean, these are the topical things that we must discuss as a nation, you know. What has caused that? Can't be me. Because, I mean, absolutely no civic responsibility to take your broken concrete blocks and bring it to their glow. Just drop it by the road. Hey, I mean, a lady came to me yesterday, last week, saying to me she has a spot of land. She just finds it has turned into a garbage dump. People just reverse and just drop something and go home. I mean, what kind of society are we heading to? And what you do is that we seem to be going all around instead of doing things that we can. Now what happens? We have to go and pay. The government now has to go and pay somebody to take out somebody's dump, somebody's waste that they drop by the side of the road. All in a day's work, right?
Final question.
Yes. Okay.
That was the final question.
All in a day's work. So, have you got your accreditation to go to CARICOM opening ceremonies and the press conference?
Everybody?
We need to get. We need to get a local press there, you know. Huh? Were you surprised?
That should have been the first group.
Yeah, the local press. But you know, it's something the local press. They invite them as come forward.
No, the question was, did you get your accreditation? The answer is no, it's not. But your private. So the answer is no. What? Has been issued. No. Has not been issued.
And by the way,
That's what I'm saying.
we did not congratulate Julian Alfred for her latest.
My publication didn't.
You did that, but I want to do it on behalf of the government of St. Lucia. Of St. Lucia, and also again express our condolences the death of Sir Neville. The state funeral is on Friday. Okay. Sir Neville's funeral is on Friday. The body will be in state on Wednesday. In Parliament building. All right. Have a good week.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this Monday's pre-cabinet press briefing. The Office of the Prime Minister thanks you for your presence here today, and we hope to see you next Monday. Have a great day.